On the occasion of Mental Health Week, which began on Sunday, October 10th, members of the public are being urged to pay more attention to their mental well-being. In an interview on Freedom Radio's Issues program Thursday, mental health officials spoke to the importance of mental health and persons seeking assistance in this regard. Dr. Sherilyn Ward Crawford, clinical psychologist at the Ministry of Health, pointed out that mental health challenges come in various forms and not always in the extreme cases.
It's important for persons to recognize that sadness, maybe they're having some sadness frequently every day for the majority of the week, for 2 weeks, and they don't think much of it because they are expecting to see somebody eating out of the garbage, as people tend to look at the most extreme cases. And we are saying, no, we don't want persons to wait until when they start to eat out of the garbage, or we don't want people to wait until they're so depressed that they're not eating at all, not speaking at all, or anything like that. We want persons to recognize that it's important to note when they are a bit off balance. And we all know our balance. We all know when we are a little anxious. Well, a lot of us are able to be aware when we are a little anxious. A lot of us are able to be aware when we are feeling a little sad and down. But we just don't want people to recognize these signs and symptoms. We want persons to be able to do something about it.
One component in mental health treatment and attention, often overlooked, is the social services aspect. Kishandra Martin, a social worker attached to the JNF General Hospital, was also on the program, where she broke down her role.
I started by saying that social workers support individuals and their families through difficult times. They also ensure that the vulnerable persons, such as children and adults, are safeguarded from harm. They help persons to cope and solve problems that they face in their everyday lives, and they also are advocates and act as guide to these persons as well. Sometimes social workers have to use their professional judgment to make some really difficult decisions that may not always sit well with, their clients or their patients. However, these decisions, they need to be made. So I want to give a small example of when a social worker has to make a difficult decision. There's a child in a classroom, and every day the teacher notices that this child is coming to class every day with, bruises, and when the child is extremely sad and is crying and tearful. So when the teacher questions the child says they're being abused at home. So the teacher would have to refer the case to a social worker, and the social worker would have to intervene by, investigating what exactly is happening at the home.
Meanwhile, counselor attached to the St. Kitts Mental Health Association, Zara Jacobs, spoke on the importance of persons getting sufficient rest as part of good health hygiene.
How are you sleeping? Are you exercising? You need to be able to build endorphins so that you can feel good to stabilize yourself. What kind of food are you eating? Everybody knows me, I'm a Twix maniac. But we need to be eating greens and oranges so that our body can sustain ourselves when we do have a difficult time. And how are we managing stress? And the reality is that a lot of us, when it comes to stress management, we are turning to drugs and alcohol very quickly. We are medicating ourselves with food far too quickly. And we're just engaging in a behavior that is risky and not helpful to us in the long run.
The Ministry of Health is observing a week of activities in relation to Mental Health Week. I'm Andre Huey for SKN Newsline.